All right, at the beginning of the battle cycle, I'm going to take a look at the lighting phase first. So you can see up here, lighting phase. I do get to choose if I wanted to, and I think I'm going to do, believe it or not, dusk, and I'll explain why. Dusk because I will take the risk of having some air units attack here, as well as attempt to bombard once I get my task force into that hex. And there is a small chance of losing the step on air units when they land during dusk. But the biggest thing is if I do dusk this turn, if I just let it go, it will go to night next turn and then continue on the cycle. But I want to do night so I don't have any issues with attacks while I'm in the hex with my naval units. So at least that's my plan. So we have dusk lighting. I set that with my option so I don't get any more option of changing or going too forward with the lighting cycle. Then it's advantage determination phase, and in surprise, the first turn the operational player gets to move first. They get advantage, so I don't need to roll. After this battle cycle, as we continue, I'll have +2 added to the allied side for any advantage determination roll. Okay, advantage movement. Well, I can't do air missions. That's after this, and I can't move. I've already embarked the units onto here. I'm going to start my move out. My naval moves out, and he can search. He's going to search with this one, even though he did identify that. It's going to search there. 1 hex away, and that's a 3, so they do get information on the Japanese side. 1 hex away, that was a 3, so they get blue. Actually, it's a spotter, but it's still blue. So now they know what kind of ships are, or they detected this one, and they know what type of ships are there. Any other search for Japanese? I'm going to search here again with my LRA, and I do detect this, even though you can attack when it's considered detected already, but now I have a little more info about it. That's a range of 2, 3. Actually rolled a 1, so yeah. Info about this is fine, even though I kind of knew that already. And then search. I think the other LRA is going to search this. That's a 9, no effect. I don't really need anything there. And then we're going to start moving. Now, here's my plan. I'm going to try to move some reinforcements from Noumea into Guadalcanal, but I can't. I'm going to have to anchor here, so I can anchor 3 ships, but they can't be capital ships. So my plan with those other ships is kind of gone for naught. So I will be moving my marine unit. I'm not going to worry about the engineer. and the 2 escorts. So we'll go with 2 destroyers. Just kind of doing some rearranging here. And I'll show you what I did. This comes over, up, and zoom. So this task force here, this is now task force 5. And where did my task force 5 go? Oh wait, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Task force 4, sorry. And this is fine over here. So so my plan is I want to get some reinforcements from Noumea to Guadalcanal, and I can get some infantry there, but I can only anchor 3 ships in Guadalcanal. According to the rules, as I'm reading it, this is not a port hex, doesn't have a port symbol, even though I've got this large base here. So at the end of this operation, I'm going to have to deactivate a lot of the ships that are going this way. I'm going to have to bring them up to Port Moresby, because that is a port. And so I'll only be able to take 3 ships there, and I want to take destroyers along with the APD unit, because the destroyers have 2 anti-submarine warfare factors. So, all right, so we'll be able to take a couple Marine battalions that way. And the other ships that I activated are going to just be wasted. I can't go anywhere with them and still safely deactivate. So should have been a 21-day operation. All right, so first move. So we pull back. We'll take this and move 1, and these two will move 1, and now this is where it gets sticky, because they are detected already and they're within sub range. This is where the sub patrol comes into play. So I can now attack with those. I'll get 1 attack, and I get to choose the task force. I'll choose task force 5, and I'm going for the AA. Let's get this correct here. So the AA is being attacked right there. And it has 6 attack vectors. Now if I do get any hits, that's going to come off the Marine unit too as well, steps. All right. And it attacks with a subs attack with a factor of 2. And they got a 4, so nothing. If you remember, I've seen in other videos, if you have an attack factor, except in some rare instances, if you have an attack factor of 3, then you're going to have to roll 3 or less to have any effect. Almost always that's going to be the case. So I had 2 and I rolled a 4, no effect. Now I can do anti-sub warfare, and I have 2 units. Actually, I might only have 1. I have a destroyer is the only one that can fire back, so that's a 2. I don't think the AA has, yeah. So on the 2 factor for the US, I rolled a 1. That's good. That's going to reduce the sub patrol by 1, so now it's at 5. It's still okay. It should be effective until it gets to 2, so it's fine right now. Okay, so that's the one sub attack that can happen. I moved 1 hex. Let's move another one. 2, and now this one's going to be 2 here. I could do some more searches. I'm not going to. Well, I'll search there with the LRA. No effect. And then we are going to move into New Georgia and stop. Any more searching? I can search one more time with the LRA. 0. So this one is identified. So now I know what's there. We've got the division and a regiment. Okay. So the next phase we have is going to be air mission. You can see that up here. Finished the advantage movement, and now we've got air mission, so I can send up those planes to New Georgia. Okay, a couple little corrections to make sure I'm on the up and up here. Wanted to make sure that when I activated all the combat units, ground combat units, I was to place a 2 for the activation because it's 14 days, 2 weeks. So I did that. And also want to bring over here to the, if I can zoom that far, I'll put the reaction end on 14 days. So that we have that properly set. That's for the reaction player, so the reaction player has 14 days to deactivate the units, any units that they have activated for, at least for right now. And then I did unload or debark this Marine unit in this hex. So it's getting a little crowded there. That's in New Georgia. And that's where we'll get to the next phase for advantage air mission. So we're going to take these 2 from Force 67, these plane units, and they're going to do an air attack mission on New Georgia. And we have to roll a 3 for coordination. It's not probably going to really matter because there aren't any air units there, but well, they're coordinated at least. So the target is here. They get over the hex, and then they roll for detection. There's a 4, so they will get to throw the flak against these 2 air units. And for flak, they're going to have 1. Let's see if we can show you here. 1 for the base. That's the middle number. Let's move this to the side here. And then they have in this hex, they have force 3, which is these 4 units. And notice they do not get any flak. Flak is the middle number, so they're not big enough to have any kind of flak influence. So basically they need a 0 or 1 to have any hits. And they get a 5, so no flak effect. So now these units have to decide what they're going to do for attacks. And I'm going to actually attack each of these well, this Marine unit and then this battalion, because I want, if possible, to get TQ checks on there. And if I do get a TQ check, then I'm hoping that they get broken and it'll be a little easier attacking. Because either way, I mean, if they don't break these, then I'm going to have to go up against a 7. If I do break both of them, then they'll use one of these units as their lead unit in defense. So now remember, these are not activated combat units, or ground units, but they don't have to be activated to defend. So okay, first roll. This is the the ground attack, the 6. And they get 2. So that is a TQ check. The only possible time that I can get, if you look here, that 1, if we pull back, this is bombardment versus ground unit. The 1 would be a step loss, and I could get that if I get a 0 with my 7 factor, but okay, so TQ, they have to roll 7 or less, which is pretty easy. Okay, they rolled a 9, so they broke 1. Gonna get my broken marker here. Okay, so now we have a 7 against that one. And you got a 3, so that's another TQ check. And hopefully get for an 8 or a 9. 2, so that one is not broken. So air mission is over. I will have to roll. These have 6 steps each. But remember that the Guadalcanal has, oops, that's not the right. This should be a large base. I don't know why it got flipped. It's a large base at Guadalcanal, so they have 18 possible launch factors. Okay, so they're flying back, and they have to roll. This one has to roll a 6 or less to not lose a step, because remember, it's dusk right now. They roll a 4, they're fine, and this one has to roll a 3 or less. And that rolled an 8, so I lose a step because of dusk landing for this unit. Put a marker. All right, so these air units are back with 467 in Guadalcanal. They're still activated. And then we move to, I'm going to leave these out for a reason coming up. And we look, and there's naval combat in the blue, but we don't have any opponent task force in the same hex. So then we'll go to bombardment, and that's going to be an important one for this hex, because we have 2 task force, and I'll pull these out here. Now bombardment is going to be at close range. All right. And of course the bombardment number is not going to matter whether it's a given already. I'm not looking at these gunnery factors. I'm looking at the B factor. So the only one that doesn't have a bombardment is the amphibious transport. This is a transport, but it's considered destroyer transport. So there are actually guns on that ship, on those ships that are represented by that counter. So we've got a 4, a 2, a 1, a 4, and a 4. And I think what we'll do is fire. Yeah, I just wanted to double check. It's not done the same as naval combat or airstrikes for that matter. So I can fire and see the result before I choose which one to fire next. And that's how I'm interpreting the rules. It just says fire at any target I wish. So I don't have to pre-select. So we'll do 4 on this one. Now I can fire at a ground unit as many times as I want, but I can only force one troop quality check. So 4 on the bombardment versus ground unit. And this is just like any other roll. I'm going to need a 4 or less here. And I get a 9. That was a waste. We'll do the 2. That's a 3. That was a miss. And let's do another 4. That was a 3. So we have to roll for troop quality check. Now this is an important one because I can get rid of this other 7, which is going to be important with a ground combat coming up. I need an 8 or 9 if in the US. I got a 0, so he passes. So now what happens here, I cannot have any more troop quality checks on that. So I might as well take a 4 against there. That's a miss, and a 1, and that's a miss. So we got a troop quality check, but it didn't do anything. So the 7 is still going to be available to use as a lead unit, unfortunately. Okay. I think I'm going to leave this out to place these back on their respective task forces. Now I purposely left off, I'm realizing now that I didn't need to bring an engineer. I should have brought, well, first of all, I should have broken down the division for the US player. I should have broken this down. I would have had some regiments to deal with, and a regiment could have traveled on the APD. I don't need an engineer right away because my goal is to get this base captured, well, the hex captured, and if the base gets destroyed, fine, so be it. I'm not worried about using that base as an air base during this scenario. So I got so scared the last time I did the Guadalcanal campaign, and I failed to bring an engineer, and I should have in that case for sure brought an engineer, because I could have converted the base right away, and I didn't do that. So I still had that in my mind, but I really didn't need this. Now I can use this in the next wave, which is kind of silly because it's only a 4 for TQ, but when we'll see what happens in this first combat, but I'm not going to send it in right away. Now I did, or I should have turned that to 1 because it did disembark, and Therefore, it uses up one of its BCMs, so don't forget to do that. All right, so this is what's on the island right now. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but we're at the ground combat phase, because the next phase after bombardment is demolition, and we're not doing any of that. So ground combat happens, and because it's amphibious assault, I'm going to have this 8 to 4. That means I'm going 4 against a 7, which is not great. And all this terrain in these islands are mixed terrain. Mixed terrain is the worst for the attacker and the best for the defender. So here's how we do the ground combat. I don't think I'm going to want to see the results of this, but my TQ is 4. Half of 8 is 4, so because I'm doing an amphibious assault. And then I go across to the 7 that the Japanese has. That's at 7 column. And 7 column is here. And I have to go 3 to the left, which ends up being here. It would be on the 4, but it's all the same here. I actually have, I'll double check the steps. I have all 14 steps here. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 steps total in the combat. So I'll have to look at the 17 top plus. Now, I have 14. They have 7, 8. So I'm not even at 2 to 1, and I need to get 3 to 1 to get a subtraction. So, and now the roll, and I'll tell you right now, it's a 50-50 shot of staying there. I'm not concerned about losing steps. I'm concerned about being able to stay on the island. So this is a 50-50 roll, and I rolled a 2. So a 2 on the 17 plus, because it's over 17 steps total. 4 attacker loss and 1 Japanese step loss. Now in this case, it's obvious I have to lose all 4 steps from the Marine unit. So it's down to 10. And now this was used as the lead unit, so it has to lose the first step, and even if it's eliminated. So this unit is gone. And we're left with, this is actually kind of good for the US, because now we're down to a 6 as the highest TQ, and a 4 for this one. But the important thing is the US player can stay. Now, it's in this case, because it's an island, no one's going to be retreating, because unless they have to, because there's nowhere to go. Well, the US can retreat back to the ships. But they're going to take some more losses. They do not want to do that. So this battle is inconclusive in the sense that we haven't decided it yet. So again, I'm just going to leave these here. These are all the units that belong in New Georgia, but for right now we'll just leave them there. So this is deactivated. This is deactivated. Now, here's the problem. And my problem is this, and I did. It's funny because I just did a video on the ground combat resolution, and I should remember all things I talked about, but because neither one is going to retreat, the BCMs are lost. They only had one left anyway, and this unit has to deactivate. So we're left with, these units were already deactivated. They were just defending. So we're left with some ground units from both sides in that hex. And the engineer unit probably should have just, because I can't have two waves, even though I'm going to have other battle cycles available. I'm not going to land that because I can't activate this unit again. So this one we'll put back. Now for right now, this is still broken. There's a rally phase a little bit later. We'll show you that. So I'm just going to leave this here so we can see what's happening on the New Georgia island. And then it's airfield repair phase, nothing, then a rally phase. Now, I can try to rally any unit that needs rallying. Remember, we had this one broken Marine unit. But it has to be, it can't be isolated. And it also can't contain enemy units in that hex. So this one can't even attempt to rally because it's in a hex with other ground units. So we'll put that back. And then it is the disadvantage movement phase. Now, I've got some units in Force 47. I embarked this regiment, and I could go into reinforce, but I don't really want to tangle with, because I only have a destroyer. So actually I'm going to reinforce I'm going to reinforce one of these hexes. I'll take a look here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go into Force 7, because Force 7 right now is just this Marine unit. So they're already embarked. They have 2, and this task force, well, I don't have it as a task force yet. I will do that. We'll just say task force 2. Or we'll just say task force 1, because that's where I found this faster. So we're going to move, it's at 0, so I can only search for task force once, so I'm going to wait, see what it's up to. It goes 1, and then 2, and then I will search with 1, 2, 3, 4, this LRA. Rolled a 2. Very nice. Take my custom chart here. So 2 with an LRA. That is, wait, how many hexes? 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes. It's blue. So I know what kind of ships are there. Or actually, just not what kind of ships, whether they're capital ships. There's 2 non-capital ships, that's all I know. But I know the number. So we flip there. And that's the end of their movement. Can't really do any searches of this task force over here. So, and then the other part of the ground movement will be unloading where are they? We'll unload this. Takes up one of their BCMs, and they will now join the 7. But they are activated side. Okay, that's the end of disadvantage movement, disadvantage air mission. I've got a couple of activated units here. I could maybe, they're not great anti-naval. Maybe we'll attack and try to get the 10 range. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think we're actually going to go for the anti-naval attack, and we'll target the ships that are there. So that's going to be our, and actually, I mean, that's the air mission target heist. Once we're there, then we have to decide whether we're going to attack ground or any ships that are in a task force. Those are two separate target picks. So, all right, let's roll for coordination, even though it's not likely or necessary. All right. So they're traveling 1, 2, 3. They get over the hex and see if they're detected. 5, they are detected. So flak gets to go. Now this is where they have to decide whether they're going against ships. I think they're going to go against ships. I don't think getting a TQ check is going to be likely there. So let's bring our ships out that are in the task force. There's still there's 2 task force, and we have this one. Oops, no. This one and this one are the 2 separate task forces. They've got to pick one. Let's pick the one 6. Almost all. Oh, there's a 4. I think it's going to be more important to, no matter, because we're not worried about getting ships sunk unless it's directly related to the invasion here in this island chain. So let's go for the A. Okay, so it's going to be this group, and we have, flip it over here so you can see the anti-air. We've got 2 and 4, so there's 4 flak factors, and we got 4, so there is a hit. We'll take a hit on this fighter unit. So there's 1 here. Now that 1 is going to, the 3 naval is going to be subtracted 1, so that has 2 naval. I have to double check on the hits on this unit first. Yeah, this should have 4 steps, so it's down, 4 steps. So 2 hits, basically. So this one's going to have 3 minus 2. This will be 1 and this will be 2. So we'll roll against the primary target is the Amphibious. And I got a 2 for this, so that's a hit. And I need a 1 or a 0 on the other one. Nothing. So I got 1 hit on the Amphibious transport, and that is here. Okay, and then these have to land, and they also have to roll for dusk landings. So that's, I need a 0. Got a 0, and I need a 3, and I got a 2. So skilled landings by the Japanese, and they will go back to force 47. They're still activated. Okay, so that was air mission phase. And now joint activation and deactivation. Okay, this is more important now in campaigns. I mean, the US can activate, but they're already having trouble getting. They actually have more activations than they need right now, or that they can use. I should say they need them, but they can't use them. So. They won't be doing any of that, and the Japanese have 3 left, but they're going to wait. Not going to do any activations. Okay, and then the detection removal. So all these get flipped. If I can do this. Use tweezers. Mission target's gone. This AA goes back. These other ships. This Marine. Still, I'll put it on the bottom because I'm not going to be doing anything this round. More flipping, let's see. I think that's it. And then the last one is the day adjustment. So remember, this is kind of interesting because on the contact phase, let's go back over here. Oh, we never did advance anything here because remember the Japanese detected the U.S. task force the first in the 0 marker, so they never moved forward, so there was no advancement of days there. And then now we advance 2. All right, and then it flips back to the lighting phase. Lighting goes directly to night. Just advances 1. The U.S. has already used up their choice, so it's going to be 1 forward from now on. And now we're in advantage determination. Now we do have to roll, but the U.S. gets +2. And that is the roll I did. 0 and a 9. So Japanese wins advantage, and now it's advantage movement. I think they're not going to do anything. So that was easy. Yeah, I do have a unit here. Well, I should say that I'm going to move. I forgot I had the task force here. These are activated ships. So let's do search first. 1, 2, 3. I got a 0, so we know exactly what kind of ships are there. There's only 2 of them anyway. And I'm not going to do any other searches. Now, one thing I forgot to do, and this is a little bit more difficult when you're playing both sides, because if I'm the US player, I'm kind of scouting what the Japanese are doing when they're doing it, and when I'm playing by myself. I was focused on this movement here. But the sub-patrol, this was detected before. So I'm going to cheat and roll for the sub-attack that would happen on here. And we're going to pretend we're going to attack that transport. So I need a 1 or a 2. 0, 1, or 2. I got a 7, so no harm, no foul. So that was for last turn. And now, by the way, you can't, just as an aside, you can't attack a task force with a sub-patrol, even though it's detected, unless and until it moves. So if it just sat here, even though it was detected, I couldn't attack with subs. But now it's going to move back to go back to this base. So now this is a new battle cycle, so I'm going to attack with a sub again because it is detected. Still need a 0, 1, or 2. 5, no effect. Okay. That was 1. Now I can't attack anymore even though it's within range, and then it'll get back to here. Okay. It's night, so there's not going to be any air missions. And there's no naval combat. Bombardment. Okay, this actually can happen. It's a new battle cycle. Those ships are offshore and they're still going to do what they need to do to try to attack these 2 units. Okay. So we flip. They're still in the area, throwing the shells into the island. Assuming they, well, I mean, it's still realistic because the Marines are near the shore, so they're, I assume, bombarding inland more. So we've got 4, 4, 4, 2, and 1. We'll do a 4 on that. That's a 6, no effect. Next 4. It's a 6, no effect. Next 4. At a 2, so I'm forcing a task or a TQ check on this one, hoping for a 7, 8, or 9. Got a 7. This is good news. So this now is broken. Grab a marker. Okay, and now I have 2 more chances. Like if I can break that one, I'll have a chance here in ground combat coming up later. A 2. Rolled a 3, and now I need a 0 or 1. Got a 5. So they have 2 broken units and 1 unbroken infantry regiment. And that is 4, 3. They're still unactivated or inactivated. Unactivated. All right, these come back. Bombardment is over. And we move to demolition. No demolition. Ground combat. Now this is interesting because I do have a Marine unit there, but it isn't unloaded. It didn't unload. I should have the first time. But since I didn't have advantage movement, I couldn't get in there this cycle. So ground combat doesn't happen because there aren't any activated ground combat units there. So that's skipped. And then it's airfield repair. Don't need to do that. Rally. They can't rally because they have enemy units in the hex. Disadvantage movement. Okay, now I'm going to be moving this. I have to be careful. Let's see. I think the spotter planes can only go 4 out. Well, actually, it's night right now, so it's only going to be 1 hex. Oh, and did I just... Yeah, I just realized. What did I roll for this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it is night, I needed to roll 0. So this is not... I forgot that it was night, so I'm going to flip that back over. This is not detected. So the sub-attacks, it's lucky that nothing happened because I shouldn't have been able to. I could have searched with them though, but that's fine. So now it's too far over for night. Now as they get into this sub-patrol range, they can search and attack, but we're going to try to go and unload there. 1, 2, this is going to be scary because we got to go straight through there. They're going to search. It's considered same hex. But it is at night, at least. It's a 4, so they are detected. And they do get to attack. 1 attack. And we will go against this is Task Force 4. There are 2 Marine units on that APD, so we're going to go after that. Rolled an 8, no effect. So they can't attack this anymore. Well, it doesn't matter because they're done moving. So disadvantage air mission, not going to do any of that. Joint activation deactivation, no, we're not going to do that. Detection removal, put that here. And day marker adjustment, we'll go 2 more. Okay, that's day 4. Now I have to figure out, I have to do the timing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days it's going to take me to get back to Port Moresby. So I can maybe stick around for one more battle cycle for these. So we'll unload the marine or the engineer unit, and we're going to end up deactivating as well. This is a really good time to stop and show you something, because this order, the way you do things in the battle cycle is just, I can't stress the importance of understanding the sequence, because as you can see, the advantage player, after they move, they do air missions, then there's bombardment, and then ground combat. But as you can see, I'm unloading in the disadvantage movement phase. I'm going to unload the engineer unit. And notice combat's not happening because combat phase already took place this battle cycle. So I can actually move in because I've already got a unit there. I am not doing an amphibious landing. I can go in and deactivate. So as far as I'm interpreting the rules, so there's not going to be any combat. So that's what I'm going to do. This puppy is going in and just deactivating in the same hex as the Marine unit. And I'll clean that up and get another force marker out. So this is going to end up being forces sitting there of opposite sides, that is. Okay, so they did the bombardment, they did their movement, they disembarked the engineer. Now joint activation, deactivation, I did that with that unit. And then detection removal, I did that. And then day marker adjustment. we'll do that. I have to check something here. Okay, it's lighting phase now in the next battle cycle, and I just simply move over to day. And then we have to figure out who goes first. +2 to the US. That one was a tie. Yes, just double checking. I got a 7 for the US, which is moved to 9, and the Japanese rolled a 9. But ties go to the operation player. So the advantage movement is going to be operational player. And now it's going to be mainly getting the task force back. This task force is going to try to get through to Guadalcanal to reinforce there. Because remember, it has 3 ships, and they're going to anchor, and these ships are going to go off to Port Moresby. So let's do that first. It's daytime, so we'll roll for this next. There's the spotter plane right next door. So identify that. 4, they've spotted this task force. All right, and who else do they want to try to? I think, well, we're going to wait for searching here when they start moving. I think that's all they can do or want to do. And then search for the US. I'm not going to bother. There's really nothing happening up here, so. All right, movement. These will go to here. Stay out of that sub-range. This will go to here. Now the sub can search. 5, they are detected, and they can do their 1 attack. I get a 6, no effect. They did roll. I got to do my anti-sub warfare both times because they did try to attack. They don't have to hit anything, but once they make the attack, then I get to do a ASW. So let's do that quick for last turn and for this. Again, I'm cheating, but that's what you can do. I have 2 ships with ASW of 2 each, so I'll roll twice. And I got nothing, and then I'll roll twice for this turn. Nothing, so no effect. And then we'll move 1, 2, 3, move 1 more, and they can't attack that again, so that turns over. We're going to do a lot of skipping here because there's not going to be any movement by Japanese. We can search for this one, certainly. Oops, I'm going to move 1 more here. And actually can't search for that. Oh, we could search on the disadvantage movement phase. It's not going to really make a difference because I don't have any. Well, I've still got some planes to. Yeah, let's search for that just in case. Nope. Okay, now disadvantage air. Task Force 2 is the one with the APD. So, I suppose I guess we'll 1, 2, 3. They're within range, so I'm going to use them. So we're going to do an air mission. Attack the Task Force 2. I'm not going to bother for coordination because it's not going to be necessary. Here's the airstrike, or target. And as it moves through, and we get a detection roll for the air mission. That is a 9. They're not detected, so they can go ahead and fire first. One has 2 naval factors and the other has 1. And we're going against the APD. This one. Okay, the 2 is a 3, or the 1 is a 1. So we get 1 hit on the APD. So each of the transports have 1 hit. And then they get flak, which they have 4. Actually 3 only. That's right, yep. So you need a 3, you got a 4. And these go back and land just fine, no hits. Okay. And then we have the day marker adjustment, 2 more days. I'm going to probably skip. I think this is a little tedious to watch as this goes to here, because that's really the only thing that's going to be happening beyond maybe some more naval or air missions by this hex. So I'm going to stop the video and then show you the results of what happened by the end of the activation, show you the process. Actually, I'm going to do this one step so you can see it happen in case you haven't seen it before. It was in day AM, and the day lighting adjustment, I'd have to go to here and then you roll for it. And I get a 2, which is dusk. So then you move this to dusk, and that's where you'll start the next battle cycle. And the US is going to move first. This is here. So then, oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Next battle cycle will be moving here. They're going to try to detect. They do not detect ships. They're getting closer. Go to there. And just to show you that I can search a second time if I didn't detect it, and I did roll and I detected this one. I did not detect the ones moving up towards Port Moresby with the other plane units. So there's this sub-attack, 1 attack on the transports. Got a 9, and now I get 2 rolls of 2 for the ASW. And no effect. So this will cycle all the way around. I'm going to move the day marker, and then there's not going to be any attacks by, well, actually, let's check that. I'm going to do an air mission attack against this hex. And I forgot, oh shoot. I just wanted to catch you up on what transpired in the last battle cycle. Since there was a night one, and these ships that were coming from New Caledonia, were able to finally get into this anchorage at Guadalcanal. There's only 3 ships there, so I'm trying to be legal according to the rules. The Japanese were unable to, because it was night, they could not launch any attacks. And everybody else deactivated for the Allied side. And then the Japanese technically has some time to deactivate, but there wasn't anything else they could do. So, and no penalty time, which is the biggest thing to avoid, especially for the operational player. But on the Dusk battle cycle, I actually started to realize I wasn't using my activated air units like I should have been consistently. And I had 2 broken units in this hex that the Japanese have, and on my last attack I was able to break the last one. So if you look over here on the force that's in Guadalcanal in New Georgia, now all 3 of those units are broken, so it's going to be much easier to attack that hex on the next operation. So we're going to move into the next part of the month. It's not a new month yet because we used 14 days. And so we're still in July, if you see over there. So I have to move the day marker 2 more. And the operation ends. Day marker is still at 14. Get rid of these. And now we are on the important sequence of weather, which is going to be clear. Again, strategic intelligence we will have to roll for. Let's see, Japanese, we'll just roll the 2 dice at the same time. Japanese get a 5, and Allied gets a 6. So if you look up, I don't know if we can get that clear here. That's as much as I can go. Let's move. You can see in July, 43. 5 is operation or intelligence level 2 for the Japanese. We come down here for the US. I'll move this slightly up so you can see the months and the years. And that is operation level 4, or intelligence level 4. So 4 and 2, that has not changed. It's the same one as it was last roll. Okay, and next we have command points. Now again, we don't get any more command points. We have 11 for the Allied side, and should be, I think that's incorrect because I forgot to pull those off. I spent 7. So the Japanese are at 7. I forgot to mark those off. And then isolation. Now I'm going to look at isolation, but also jump back and do some cheating. This is kind of as you're learning to use the rules, especially as a solo player, I think it's actually okay to go back and correct some of the strategy, because you're starting to see how the linked rules and isolation rules are going to affect your units as you progress through the operation, or through the campaign scenario, or strategic for that matter. And I am going to leave or land an F-type unit here in Force 2, And the reason for that is just to be careful. The rules say that to be linked, or one of the ways you can break a link is having the link pass through a hex that is covered by an F-type unit within 2 hexes of that unit. But I don't think, now for instance, this hex is technically separated in link terms because this reaches all the way around, this F-type unit reaches all the way around, but by having an F-type unit here that's basically providing cover, this CVS5 is actually linked. And there's 2 things that are going to affect this unit in particular if I didn't have the F-type air unit here to provide cover and break this interdiction. The first is it can't repair any naval hits. Well, that's logical. But more important, you can't activate this unit because you can't get command points to it if the link is broken. I'm also playing, I think this is correct, you can trace into a hex that has that interdiction effect, but you can't go through an interdicted hex. So if I didn't have an F-type unit here, I think I could still trace a link to New Georgia because this goes into the interdicted or the F-influenced hex, but it doesn't have to go through that F hex. You can come through here. So I think that is okay if I didn't have the fighter unit here. But I'm going to leave one here just in case. So everybody should be linked technically, and there's no isolation effects. Remember, rally, once you get to rally phase, you can't rally if there are enemy units in the hex. That doesn't have anything to do with being linked. So we are past isolation. We're at strategic transport. Again, we can't go into an area of the front for transport. I don't think I need to move any units. I can't, I suppose, yeah, there is nothing I can do here to change the situation, so we'll ignore strategic transport. Reinforcement. Okay, now we have to look at the scenario. Well, we can skip reinforcements because it is not a new month. So that makes it simple. There's no naval repair. There's no replacements because it's not a new month. Engineering, nothing engineers can do. Submarine patrol. We don't get any replacements until this is at 6 still, and this is at 5. So I don't think they're going to move anywhere. And now Operation Player Determination. We have to do any bidding. Let's see if the Allied wants to bid. Quick jump back, because I almost forgot this again. I'm going to do a breakdown during the replacement phase. I skipped it originally because there aren't any replacements in the middle of the month. But I'm going to show you how I would do this. On my Guadalcanal base, I've got 2 infantry regiments that I'm going to form, and that's 6 steps, so I have to take 6 steps off of the Americal division. So it's still there, but it's like 2 regiments were taken off. And I think that's how that works. So they're available to be transported by APD, because an APD can transport 1 regiment. So now we get to the operations determination phase. Okay, I'm actually going to bid 9 points. I think I can do this. I won't have to pay. It's going to be less than 10 points at the 0 operation level. And I think I can do it without having to pay for the headquarters because it's such a small operation. So I can easily outbid the Japanese with 9 points. And that's what I'll do. And so the Japanese will be on the defensive again, as they are throughout most of this scenario. So the operation player activation, now we're still in the middle of the month, and I'm going to pay for the minimum 14 days because I think that I'll be all right with that. I've scoped this out, and I think this is important, something I haven't done enough of. If I have you take a look at the combat table, especially the TQ graph, this matrix, if I have an 8 or a 7 or 8 level, and I'm going up against a 4, that's 13 or 14, and you're talking here. Now I will have to go to the left because of the terrain, but if I get to the 14 level, I'll be on this level, and then I have a decent chance, a 40% chance of getting that island this turn. So I'm going to go for that. So I am spending 9 points, and I'll show you where they are. I'm spending 1 point for the APD on this Guadalcanal area. Actually, no, that's up here. It's this APD, this one. And I will take one of the regiments. That's 2 more, so now I'm at 3. I will activate the 2 units that are on New Georgia. That's 7. And then I'm going to activate a couple of destroyers. This is 8, 9. That's on Guadalcanal. I'm not going to activate any air units, which may be a little bit of an issue, but we'll see. I think it'll be okay. So we bid 9. We're going to use 9. I spent the activation. Now we find out what the operational intelligence is. And Japanese rolls in secret, ostensibly. They rolled a 9, so it is surprise again. Although, as we've discovered, that doesn't necessarily, in this close quarters situation where you're moving ships just a couple hexes, it's probably not. The only advantage is we're guaranteed of getting the first advantage determination. So, okay, we've got surprise intelligence. Put that in there. And now we are at, you can see up here. Oh, let's get it focused. On reaction player activation. So the Japanese they have 7 points at the disposal. So let's see here. I think we'll activate. It might be. We don't really have. We got it. only with the one destroyer. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 14 days they can't really move from here to here and then go back to Rabal. So activating some ships isn't going to be an option. I guess we'll activate the air units. That's going to be 4, I believe. 3, actually, to activate the air. So we'll change that on. First, we'll take the 9 off. The Allied side has 2 left, and Japanese have 4 left. And then, well, sorry, we're jumping the gun here. We have to do the contact phase for Operation Player. So we've got in the 0 for naval up here. And now we'll have to do the movement, but there's going to be a search first before they start moving. And we'll do the usual 1 hex away for that spotter plane. And we got a 5 for spotter. Because remember there's a task force moving up there. 5 for spotter. Yeah, they needed it for the next hex. Yeah. So that task force is detected, and so they'll stop them. That's kind of what happened last time. It's just this one. So, and since there's only 2 hexes away, there's not a lot of movement that they have to do to get to New Georgia. All right, next. Reaction player contact. They can't do anything because the Allied didn't move out of that hex, so they don't have any naval ships to move anyway. So now I'm going to do the battle cycles and then do a recap, so you don't have to sit through the series of phases, because there's going to be a lot of skips going on. All right, we'll come back to you in a second. Okay, I wanted to show you this climactic battle of New Georgia and what happened, because it's kind of interesting tapping into some of the rules that will probably occur more often when you have a situation like this in the Upper Solomons, Guadalcanal, etc., where especially when there's there are islands and there's no place to retreat unless you have ships sitting by, amphibious transports. So here's what transpired. First of all, the subs for the Japan did manage to get a hit on the transport, so I lost a step from this regiment before it landed. Now, according to the rules, and I should, something I keep forgetting to do, but I'm going to use up one of the BCMs here. This one used up a BCM. They only started with 2, so I'm short a BCM marker. I'll grab one, but this one was also a 1. So they used up a BCM. This one has to use one up because there were units in the hex, activated units in the hex. Another unit came in and landed into that hex, and when you already have friendly units, you have to decide whether you're going to do an attack or deactivate. Obviously, I'm not going to deactivate, so I'll use up the BCM in the attack, and actually you're going to use up a BCM even if you choose not to attack. In any case, the attack goes like this. This is the lead unit, and that's 8. This is the lead unit for the Japanese. You have it round up because it's broken. That's 4. It's not an amphibious assault with this unit because it was already there. So 8 to 4 on the TQ graph, this matrix. 8, so the highest you can get here, to 4. That's in the 14. We already talked about that. And then the 14 column looks pretty good because there are no mandatory retreats for the attacker, but because it's mixed terrain, I have to go 3 left, 1, 2, 3. And so I rolled on this, and this is what the US rolled. So pretty good roll for this Battle of New Georgia. And because there's 17 plus, I look across, I'm on the 11 column. I have to lose 1 for the attacker and 4 for the defender, and it's a mandatory retreat for the defender. So they cannot retreat. If it was the Allied side, they would surrender and they lose all the steps. But I'm going to show you the rule for Japanese. In this case, can I zoom in a little bit? If the unit or units is Japanese, and the Allied unit or units has a total step greater than the Japanese step strength, which they do, Japanese unit is eliminated units, and the Allied unit loses a number of step equal to half of the Japanese steps removed. And you don't look at the CRT result. You don't deactivate either. So there are a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps, and it's rounded up. So I have to lose 4 steps, and it just models the Japanese doctrine of not surrendering, and it would take quite a bit of resources and manpower to dig them out of that island, just as in real life. Historically, that's accurate. So I have to lose 4 steps, and I have to lose all the steps from the lead unit until it gets down to 1, and that's not going to be the case here. I've got 4. I have to lose 4 more. So this Marine unit has lost 8 steps in the Battle of New Georgia. It's still technically activated. It has 1 left, but in all likelihood they're just going to sit tight. So that is the end of the Battle of New Georgia, and the Allied side has gotten 1 of their 2 objectives. The other objective is going to be a little bit more difficult in this area. And that is the end of ground combat in the first battle cycle. I almost forgot to mention too, as an addition, I did have an engineer in this battle, so this is now changed to US, or Allied, and I do not have to build one in the next go around of the engineering phase. So that's the good thing about having an engineer with you when you capture a base. All right, that is the end of the operation. The Allied actually deactivated everybody in New Georgia, including the 3 ships. They can do that at an anchorage. And the Japanese had a couple of tries at attacking the naval vessels here, and they were unable to get any hits, and the Allied side did get a hit on this twin engine type unit. So they're down to 3 steps. That's one thing in this scenario. The Japanese really have a dearth of air units at their disposal, except for the aircraft carriers they've got over in Truk. So that's a big disadvantage. It's still the middle of the month because we only got to day 18, and I'm going to only do one thing that affects things in the future, and each of the sides are going to put some remaining command points into a pool for a future month. The Japanese have 4 to save, and the Allied have 2, so we'll do that, and pretty much just go through all the, we're not going to break down any more units, so I'm not going to worry about the replacement phase. Again, we're still in the month of July, so you can go through those cycles. Nobody's going to bid, so once that happens, the month ends and we go to 0 in August 1st.